All right, hey, thanks for tuning in. Today I'm going to go through adding test pipelines for Drupal 8 and Drupal 9 with PHPStan Drupal. Last week did some live development for PHPStan Drupal and tried to work on removing constraints for PHPStan so we could get to the latest version, but there were some blockers on that. Just for anybody that tuned in last week, I'll give a quick follow-up on where we got blocked there. Give me 1 second. This is a new setup. My iMac has forced itself into retirement due to some issues, and I'm on a docked MacBook Pro setup. And I had to buy a webcam and kind of change everything around. So I didn't get much chance to test it due to the last minute switch over. So if there's any problems, just let me know. So last week, turns out that there's a bug in the PHP parser library for parsing traits and support for PHP 8 and optional attributes. The trait in question is the PHP unit compatibility trait, where before a trait is defined, there is an if statement. So any code that occurs before a trait definition causes an error, which stinks. So I was able to go through all of this and create a pull request that is somewhere. Well, there is not one that is linked. I'm going to fix that. 739. To edit. Go ahead and do that. So hopefully that links the two issues. But I was able to create a failing test, fortunately, using this test case, where if there's an if statement before defining a trait, it performs the AST correctly, but the start line gets screwed up. And I can't figure out how to fix it, but at least that has been somewhat solved. So we can move, so I can move on. Alright, so today we're going to work on the next step, which is partially for PHP 8 support. In order to get PHP 8 support, we have to get PHPStan unblocked, and we also need to get testing for Drupal 9 added. Right now, PHPStan, let's see, I can minimize this one. The PHPStan is tested on both Travis CI and Circle CI. Travis CI was the first. It's kind of basic, where it will do the composer install, it runs the test, and it does some basic builds. It has a basic build matrix for different PHP versions, but I never liked Travis CI to begin with because it didn't support pipelines, although I guess it does now. So I also have a Circle CI setup that allows for more verbose testing, because you can define different commands that help reuse steps. But in here, it still tests Drupal 8 because it doesn't have a build matrix, but I just built different pipelines manually, such as a build. This tests Drupal using the legacy project, so pre-composer setup to test auto-loading. And here it tests from the Drupal project, which defaults to Drupal recommended project. And then this tries to test the upgrade status. I thought I had more builds in here. I think Drupal check has way more builds in here. But to get this working, the next step will be to probably just move over to GitHub Actions. Oh, there's a lot of background noise. Shoot, I have a feeling it's my MacBook that's right underneath my microphone. Let me see if I can at least try to move this thing further over. What a nightmare. Does that help with the background noise at all? Otherwise, I think I'm just going to bail on this today and pick it up another time, because I don't know how people work with a docked MacBook setup, because this is like absurd. All right. Let me move my microphone a little bit away from that as well. Okay, has that cut out the background noise? I did some testing earlier, but it wasn't running as hot, so I couldn't tell. Again, sorry for this. It was a last minute adjustment I had to make. I got it half set up. I got it half set up yesterday, and then I woke up this morning in a frantic hurry to get my monitors moved around, because I had my iMac in front of me and two monitors to the side, and then I had to try to get everything set up. So, all right, let's try that now. I got my MacBook over here, my microphone over there, and there we go. Okay, so thanks to that interruption, we'll get back to where I was going. So I'm going to add GitHub Actions, because I'm pretty sure that Travis CI. Oh, that's not the link I wanted. I'm pretty sure Travis CI won't be building for my accounts. Unless mine are still somehow running on the open source plan, which I thought got canceled. This is 2 days ago. But I know Travis CI had some announcement where they're killing off open source builds or something like that. I have not been really following the news. Open source at Travis CI. If you want to read it, they talk about how they're changing. Basically, everybody's bailing ship on Travis CI, which again is fine with me, because it's always been an inferior product in my opinion, but they were gracious enough to basically let every open source project use tons of build minutes for free. So let's get started with adding a GitHub action, and I'm just going to cheat and quick grab this default, and we're going to set up, I want to set up build pipelines that test all the same PHP versions, but also various Drupal version constraints. Let's see. I dislike how it defaults to only those two. I want it on every push and pull request to run. We'll just take this as is, create a new branch called GitHub Actions. Oh, it still says that it's free forever. I think it's funny that I've never seen a Facebook ad for Travis CI, but lately I've been getting them like all the time, and it keeps saying free for open source builds. I'm like, but this is a lie. Like, I understand that maybe the company had some financial issues because the competitors kind of ate their lunch by being more innovative, and they were still offering so many free open source build minutes that they kind of hit like a financial crunch. Like, I get that. Like, we live in a world of businesses, but it's just like, be transparent and consistent with your messaging, and you will keep customers. If you were more transparent, people would be less upset and just bailing ship entirely. But is what it is. I mean, I don't know what happened on the background. So do initial workflow file. I'm going to propose a new file change. Call it Drupal 9 build. Improve test matrix for Drupal for D8 plus D9 and PHP 8. There we go. So we'll create that pull request for myself. I'm going to now go into my repo, go fetch my recent, and I'm going to go check it out. And I'm going to go copy some code. So we got in here. I'm actually going to pop open PHP parser. There's last week or this past week I helped convert it from Travis CI over to GitHub Actions. So I'm going to copy this build matrix. Actually, I'm just going to copy this workflow right here, which this was actually really easy to convert over. I can pull up the pull request later if anybody's curious, but it was pretty quick and easy to convert it from Travis CI over to GitHub Actions, which is one nice thing. So I'm just going to replace this build. So it tests. So what this is doing here, it's going to run on Ubuntu latest, which I should probably change this to be like a specific server version, because I think right now it's on 18 and it's going to be going to 20. It reads, it sets the name of the build to be matrix.php version unit test. So that way you know some more information about the test that's run, and that pulls from this variable right here. So the matrix is going to create different build pipelines based off the matrix information, and then each matrix will use these steps. So it's going to first check out the repo. It's going to install and set up PHP thanks to this GitHub action, which is kind of like the community default, it seems. Everybody that's testing PHP on GitHub Actions uses this. It lets you set up the coverage, what PHP version, and composer. It has some other nice things too, such as installing Blackfire. I'm working on a Drupal performance workshop, and it uses this GitHub action to install Blackfire and configure it, which is super cool. So I actually have my GitHub Actions profiling my Drupal project on every commit. That's something that I'm working on. We'll do some videos for. Then it installs the dependencies and then runs PHP unit. So we're going to, let's go to Travis CI and get some more of the basics copied over. So we're going to split and move right. So we also run PHPCS. So we'll do that first. So get name, PHPCS, run. Vendor, then PHPCS source. We then do a PHPStan analyze, PHP vendor, then PHPStan analyze source, and PHP unit. Okay, so we're going to start here with just this first bit and against various PHP versions. PHP 8 will fail, and we're going to have to find out how we can add that, but do an allow fail. Travis CI did allow that. When you set up a build matrix, you could add one that allowed one specific workflow to fail. For now, we're going to see. This is not set up to use the new window tool, so I'm going to quick change that over. Close that. Get the diff. All right. And to workflow. So let's do commit and push. So if we go refresh this, should see some builds come through. So this is why I have it say the PHP version, so it's much easier to recognize what's running. Let's see if it will now. So this way we know it's PHP 7.1 unit test. Like if we have a failure, then we know we have a language failure. Cool news is PHP 8 did not fail, so that's great to know that it's somewhat ready. It probably won't work if we try to analyze PHP 8. So let's look at these details. Oh, install dependencies. Okay, so that gave a failure, which is to be expected because in here, we'll change this to also be 8.0. And I believe this is what PHPStan has as well. So since we extend PHPStan, it's good to know how to be able to type and make sure we hit the same kind of requirements. So they do 7.4, I do 7.1. I could probably bump that up, but because of Drupal land, I try to keep 7.1 since Drupal, some folks still have old versions of everything for their Drupal sites. Okay, so since this failed, it did a fast finish and canceled out. So we will fix, I want to see, GitHub actions allow failure. Please support something like allow failure, continue on error. Let's see if we can get this added real quick. Reduce support marking a step to allow failure via continue on error. Oh, well that's annoying because it feels like you'd have to add that to every step. Linting errors. Non-specific issue. It checks API status, so. Oh, okay. Please support something like, I guess I'll subscribe to this and follow it. And oh shoot, that's the issue I was already at. Darn. Man. So I guess I would have to just add continue on failure for every single step. Let's see if I can just copy this from. I thought so this feature. Darn, that's such a bummer. Prevents a workflow run from failing when a job fails. Set to true to allow workflow run to pass whenever. Oh, I guess I will try this, what they recommend doing. So we'll go in here. And it looks like, so it's jobs.job ID, continue on error. So jobs, job ID, on experimental. So we will then copy this experimental bit. Oh no. Oh, I hate that if you hit escape, it clears out the search. And I'm a person who constantly hits escape when like doing anything, so hitting escape clears out their front end search, and then you have to like really scroll down, and that's extremely annoying. All right, so continue on error. We'll copy this in here. So by default, everything inside a matrix has to be an array of values, and if there's only one value, it doesn't expand it. It will just make sure that there's 7.1 false, 7.2 false, 7.3 false, etc. Just copy in this thing as well, and we'll adjust. So we're going to do an include, which then we have PHP version will be 8.0, and we'll remove it from here, and we'll flag it as experimental, and this should hopefully fix it. Let's just make sure, double check. Okay, so just that there, and that flag 8.0 as continue on error. All right, so hopefully this does the trick. It'd be great if they can make this a default feature, but honestly, if this is the workaround, it's not the end of the world. So we'll see now if this build is it to pass. I wish there was a way that said don't push, like if there's a pull request open, like don't run on push, because it just does duplicate jobs. Again, that's one reason why I do like Circle CI, is Circle CI tests on the commit. So whenever you push, it just tests that commit. So if you open a pull request, it already knows that build is running for that commit and shows those results instead of running twice. GitHub Actions and Travis CI both do this. All right. Ah, dang. Oh, typo. Way to go. No. That's why that failed. So now we'll push that back up. Alright. So while that's running, the next step, because that should start to pass now. The next step will be, let's see, we need to, you can configure that for more advanced, like push.on and list the branches you want to build for on pushes. So I guess that would be that. So that's the bummer. Like, I like having it be on push for any branch. So if I'm doing my own feature work, like I want it to run without opening a pull request sometimes. But then it runs on that push and the pull request. But I guess then it's just always open a pull request for myself. And then it can run. I just want my cake and eat it too. I just want everything to work my special way. So that'll probably be what I do. Yeah, just always open a pull request when working on something. Or just complain about it and be that person. Okay, so I asked for everything. I want to be the world's special little snowflake and everything perfect for just me, apparently. But don't we all just want that? I can't type at all. Apparently, STC, that's source. Oh, I'm having a day. Okay, so now that I'm done making small stupid mistakes, I'll make some bigger ones as we try to start going through this. So to install, so we're gonna create a, oh wait, what does this do here? Install package to a Drupal project. When do I, oh, there's where I create it. So now next thing we're gonna do is install Drupal actually. Travis CI is still using the deprecated community template instead of the main one. Oh boy. Okay, so next step is to install Drupal so we can do some integration tests. So we're going to run, copy that, and we're going to have to fix it. Actually, having it split is not helping at all, since there's so much that's going on in here. So this is not to create the proper project we want to use. We want to use Drupal recommended project. Since I don't know how to type, I'm going to make sure I copy it correctly from over here. Okay. So this is so old that it was written back when 8.8 was in pre-release stages. Think I can just do this. 1 second. I'm going to look up how I did it in another project. No, I didn't do it there. I believe I did this already in the web forms Civi CRM project, which I'm helping write tests for. So let's go through workflows, main.yaml. Oh, still testing on 8.6. I mean, last month I helped somebody upgrade from 8.3 to 8.9, so it's not too bad. So composer create project. Okay, I did that. So into the home directory. Okay, So composer, create project, Drupal recommended project. All right. Oh, and we got to run require, right? No, so default. Yeah, something changed there. So I'm going to adjust this because when running this command, it actually no longer installs the dev dependencies, and I want to grab those. So I'm just going to copy this whole bit. One thing I did consider running or creating is a GitHub action that would do this for you. We don't need these things. Well, we do. Okay, I'm going to copy this over. We're just going to go all in. So I wanted to create a GitHub action that does this for testing Drupal modules on GitHub. So that way you can say, you know, uses mglommen/setup Drupal, and it will create the Drupal project at the version you specify and set up your GitHub workspace as like your module as a path, so that way you can do composer require on it, which we don't want to do for this because we're not testing a Drupal module. So if y'all think that's a good idea, I can work on that. So this reads from matrix.drupal. So we're going to add a new matrix variable called Drupal, and let's see, how did I set this up over here? So it does various version constraints. So we're going to test 8. We're going to test 8.8. We're going to test 8.9. Test 9.0 and 9.1, which these two will fail. So that's probably, let's not completely just burn time. So then I'll have to also add it in here for PHP 8, which this is where we'll test Drupal 9, because we know that Drupal, I don't think Drupal 8 received the backported commit that supports D9. I don't know. I've actually had the pleasure of working on a bunch of Drupal 7 sites for the past 2 weeks, so I haven't really been paying attention to some of the latest releases. But we'll give this a try, setting it to 9.0. The reason I used the tilde is I didn't want to use an upper constraint. I want to make sure that I get 8.8 and I get 8.9 and whatever is the latest patch version. So that way I can have more consistent testing. Well, while I'm here, let's see, is there anything else I want to steal from in here? No. Cool. So I can do a session on something like this where it actually sets up Chrome driver, does a built-in test, and runs all of PHP unit for Drupal, and actually uploads the artifacts, so that way we can look at the browser output and screenshots as we test. But that's for another day. All right, so we set up Drupal. The next step is it does some basic analyzing of the file. Okay, so maybe it does. Okay, it does actually install it. So let me, shoot. Let me go back to that and copy what I wrote. So yeah, so we want to configure. So what this will do here is it tells Composer that we have a repository, and then we also have, like, because we want it to install the local Git repository and not fetch from packages. So that's what this little trick is doing. It's saying, hey, the first thing to check for is this local repo, and that will override packages for installing PHPStan Drupal. And then we have to add back the Drupal Composer facade, because it would be overwritten, since by default it is 0, or the first one. So then we're able to run, actually, we can add it, I want to make it its own run just in case. something goes wrong when adding it. So we're going to do name require PHPStan Drupal. We're going to run, and we'll do cd. Each step resets the working directory. So that's one reason we have to do it. Every command will start in the original working directory for the job. So we'll do require, and then the next step is to copy our PHPStan configuration, which is in tests, fixtures, config. What does this do here? Okay, so it's just a basic setup. I don't remember what I even created. So GitHub Workspace is the same thing as Travis build directory. So those do map. So we'll run that. So it doesn't require, and then it runs some tests. So we'll just do a basic one. Test core install.php. This is still technically running inside of the Drupal directory. Wonder if there's a way, because I believe Circle CI has a way to say like, oh, change the working directory, so we don't have to run that every time. But so I'm going to push this to see if the magic happens. So again, we've added a build matrix variable for Drupal to get 8.8 and 8.9. PHP 8 will try to get Drupal 9. And the reason another reason why I put Drupal 9 here is the fact that I don't know if PHPStan Drupal runs against Drupal 9 yet. It's only been tested against Drupal 8 because it was built to find deprecations in 8. So this testing will help me get that feature flushed out. And then here we set up Drupal. Let's do unified. It's a little bit easier. So composer, create project, Drupal recommended, our version, into the Drupal directory. Minimum stability dev. The Drupal composer project did have a change. Before it used to have minimum stability dev. So this would let you do like composer require path auto : 1.x-dev. Now that this is removed, it actually errors and says the dev release does not meet your minimum stability, which can be good because that makes sure that you're like always getting tagged releases. But when you're testing in development, you want to allow that. Prefer stable, so that way if we do have any dev releases, it tries to download the archive. That's not so much needed here, but if you are working with, like this got copied into the CiviCRM web form module because it was using CiviCRM dev and cloning when we needed to download the archive from GitHub. So that's kind of where these two came in from. This looks good, so we're going to add Drupal install to workflow, and we'll do a commit and push and see what happens. Okay, good. Our last push to fix the typo ran. So it shows that the workflow passed, even though PHP 8 failed. I'm okay with this, even though it doesn't say allow failure, but I'm okay. This is neat. Let's check the output here, because just because you get a green check mark does not necessarily mean everything's great. So no output, PHPStan, no errors, PHP unit ran, all good. Awesome. So let's see if this goes, all right. I forgot to update the build title so that we know what version is being run of Drupal. So like here, it's the 8.8. So that's one thing to show here. So it just keeps scanning. It just keeps running. I'll wait. And we'll go back up. Okay, cool. So it ran the test. Okay, no errors. Stop. All right. Sorry for the noise. My kids are running around with a roller of some sort. I'm happy about our new house because I have a basement office with a window, an egress window, but it's also right below the family room where my kids like to jump around. So, all right. So this ran with 8.8, and if we were to go here, we would see that that's not the one. Set up Drupal. Installed in 8.9. Also, I want to call it like 19 seconds. This is amazing with Composer 2. That it got set up so fast. So if you're not using Composer 2 yet, I highly recommend it, especially in your builds, because the fact that this only took 43 seconds versus maybe like a minute and a half with Composer 1 is phenomenal. So I want to fix this test title, and we're going to expand a little bit. So I don't need it to say unit test. We're just going to say it's PHP, the version, and Drupal, which will be matrix.drupal. Cool. So we'll have that go. I am curious to see why. Oh yeah, this failed due to version constraints. PHP unit 7. I think that would need to be PHP unit 8. So for kicks, we'll just do or 8 and see if that gets PHP 8 running a little bit faster. Okay, not up to date, that's fine with me. It's not up to date locally. So we have core install testing. You know, we'll run this test as well. I'm going to read through it again once we copy it over. I don't remember what this one does. So again, we have to cd into there. So paste. So it analyzes dynamic page cache and verifies that browser test, that this error didn't pop up. Because this was I think this was a check for an early auto-loading error where like the test kit classes wouldn't load. So test is auto-loaded. Verified test fixtures are ignored. This was a big one. It was analyzing all of the test fixtures by default, which was causing the test, like just causing it to run forever and take a lot of extra time. I'll explain what that what the test fixtures are. So it's the test fixtures for migrate. So let's go. I'll quick show that for anyone that's not sure what that exactly means. So fixtures, Drupal 4. So inside test and fixtures. It's just a whole bunch of. There's just in various migrate tests or modules that test migrate. It has these PHP files which are like SQL dumps, but work across different SQL versions. If it'll load, let's see, maybe the Drupal side will load a little bit faster. It just has information on constructing a database dump, but in PHP versus in SQL, so that way it can run against SQLite, MySQL, MariaDB, Microsoft SQL Server, all of those. Any of the database servers that Drupal supports, it allows installing and setting up a database for migrations. All right, so I think that, we'll check this one too. This was an error that, the Blazy theme was redeclaring a token function, and PHPStan was loading Blazy first, and it was causing a random error. So we'll copy this in. Run. And so So for this, we have to require those two. And we'll add these and see if all goes up. So we'll add PHP Unit 8 as a supported version. And we'll get these added. Add remaining Travis CI jobs. So push. So let's go see how fast this goes, or sorry, the result of it, and luckily it's much faster than it used to be. Although this seems like it's still... Why is this one still running? It should have been done by now. Because it's running on push. So we're going to cancel this workflow, because we don't need that one to run, and hopefully that'll get this one to go faster. Add remaining. Okay, so let's see here. For PHP 8 Drupal 9, how does... Oh, because the... Oh, shoot. Because the dev dependencies have Drupal 8. So that's the one big blocker for this is... Oh, shoot. So, like I said, this project was created to test deprecations with Drupal 8 getting ready for Drupal 9. And in the dev dependencies, we're testing Drupal 8. And that's so that we can run various tests such as, oh shoot, this is going to be hard to run, like these deprecated constants and deprecated function calls. We need to test those, but we have core as a dev dependency in here. So I wonder, oh man. So that's one thing that's going to have to be figured out. So I might be able to do at 9.0, and then anything that tests these is going to have to check the Drupal version to see what happens and comes out of it. Okay, so this failed. All right, so we got failures ahoy. I'm going to start fixing a few of these so we can test it. So I'm going to try adding this here locally. Let's make sure I'm on Let's get on 2. I'll run composer update here. Oh, thank goodness, because I could not get my global install to work. All right, so that failed fast. And one of the goals with Composer Update is to get Drupal 9. But in the meantime, we're going to... Oh shoot, it failed on the Drupal test setup because it's not compatible with 7. Oh jeez. So can... What? Must be compatible with, because it installed a different version of PHP Unit, I bet. Because it installed PHP Unit 8.3 instead of 5 or whatever that would work best with. Oh man. So, shoot. All right, let's try to think here for a second. So let's see. That's not one. Go back to GitHub to workflows. Okay, so it's installing required dev pinned matrix Drupal, and then it's requiring something here. Okay, so when running our PHP unit, it's getting 8.5, but Drupal's isn't compatible. So I think it needs to make a, oh shoot. So there needs, damn it. I need to specify what version of PHP unit is installed based on the Drupal version that is installed. Because of this error where unit test case setup must be compatible with unit test case. Dang. I don't know how, I don't want to create a custom. So this is broken by adding PHP unit 8 for PHP 8 support. I gotta think of a crafty way to work around this, and I cannot think of one right now. All right. There is a way. There is a way. Okay, so we do install dependencies. It's installing dev, and this is where we get PHP unit 8.5. So what we can do after we install dependencies, we can do a conditional run that says name, downgrade, PHP units, where we run composer, require unit, PHP unit. We don't want to do, oh yeah, we'll do that. Now we're going to do it conditionally, so let's go back to the docs here. So Java if steps if. So each step and job can have an if statement. So we're going to do if, let's see, so if we only want this to run on Drupal 8, and we're only going to test Drupal 8 and Drupal 9, so if, I believe this would be matrix dot Drupal's equal to 8.8, and I believe we can do the double ampersand for matrix. No, we don't want and, we want or. If it's 8.8 or 8.9, we want to downgrade, and the end goal will be that this won't be experimental, like Drupal 9 testing will be by default. So let's just add it. So we're going to basically PHPStan Drupal for some time will just always be backwards compatible for 8.8 and 8.9 till end of life, whatever. So we're going to make that be the exception where we try to downgrade PHP unit. There. So let's give that a try. So again, we're adding PHP unit 9. We're going to downgrade PHP unit if run 8.8. Downgrade PHP unit for D8. So we're going to push that. And one thing I'm going to try to run too is there is this package called act, which lets you run your GitHub actions locally, and I'm going to get that set up right now. It does require running Docker, so make sure Docker's booting up. Root install act. So we get that going. So the commands let you run act L, which lists all of it. If you run just act, it will run everything. We're going to want something like this, run a specific job. I actually have no idea if there's a way to run a job in a specific environment. Otherwise it's going to run everything at once. Okay, so it's already installed. PHPStan Drupal. So let's do act L. And we're just going to run it and see what happens. So it'll go through and it runs all the jobs and prints the output. So this is actually really nifty for running things. If you want to work with it locally, let me expand a little bit. Lstat.cache. Alright, so there is actually a bug where if you want to run this locally, you have to copy this command where you run it with this person's Docker image. So let's give that another run, and hopefully we'll get something to go so I can test this a little bit more locally instead of constantly having to push, which isn't too bad, but it'd be nice if this was a faster alternative. In the meantime, oh man, let's see this. Downgrade. The workflow is not valid. Line 4113. That's that's PHP parser. Line 4113. This is not valid. What did I do? Unexpected symbol. But isn't that what I read in here to do? Is it because I used double quotes instead of? So we'll see. Let's actually see if this worked out here. That looks like an error inside of setup PHP unit or setup PHP, and not actually here. Maybe it's because there was an error. I'll try and see if that runs again. All right. One thing I'm going to check too. So if I've got $, bracket, bracket, matrix, then go back to a project I know I have it running on, GitHub, workflows. Maybe it's because I have it in the $signs, but I thought that's how you do grouping, because we have it in here where we need to ensure that Webform 6 is downloaded. Oh, shoot, that's a bummer that this doesn't seem to want to work. Set up, run and install PHP. Oh shoot, I wish that was working because that would make this a lot easier to test. But see, then down here, it's wrapped. Alright, we're gonna keep it wrapped. I'm gonna try the single quotes and see if that's magically the problem. I wouldn't think so, but I've got nothing else to run on. So I'll push that, and what gets me is I don't know of any linters. GitHub action YAML lint. Every time I try searching for this, it's an action. GitHub docs. Oh, that is their job called lint YAML for the docs. So syntax, learn GitHub actions. I guess we'll just validator. Securing validating payloads. Lint, build it into your code. GitHub actions, validator. Oh, no, I don't want that. I just want something to validate my YAML. That's all I want. First version will be in GitHub UI. I guess I can try that. Well, let's just see if my push fixed it. Why doesn't it show? Oh. Would triggered by, where's the commit? I just realized that I don't know if it shows the commit. Okay, so let's see what's in here. Downgrade PHP unit. Oh, geez. By a partial update, make sure you list it as an argument for the update command. Oh, with all dependencies, I should have thought about that. So that fixed, okay, so that fixed the linting. Apparently it couldn't be double quotes, so we'll try this. Downgrade PHP unit using with all dependencies. Do a push. And hopefully get some runners. I think I am going to change this back to being only on did I rename this to main or is it on master? I don't remember. That's master. Alright. We're just gonna put that back, because that will reduce the amount of builds that are running. Sorry for jumping all around. I couldn't figure out where my tabs were. Right. So PHP 8, again, cannot install. Composer.json requires 9. Says file by 9.6 alpha. So it's like updating. So we're going to say 10 as well, so that way we can be Drupal 9 support Drupal 9. I feel like the testing structure is going to have to be revisited, which sucks because I actually have PHP unit tests that are running things that it needs to have Drupal available to be able to run those. Well, I guess these fixtures could be copied in, but my tests look up the directory and analyze them. So this could be kind of a pain. I'm trying to sort this out because it's a really interesting testing setup. Oh jeez. Wait. Oh, yeah. Of course that failed. So that was a mistake adding Drupal 9 into there. So you know what? So Drupal 9 requires 7.3. So I guess I'll just manually include 7.1 as a Drupal 8.8. 8.9, and then we'll do 7.2 and 7.2 at those and remove them from here. So 7.1 and 7.2 not supported by D9, forgot that. So we'll push that up. I'm just going to review it. What are the problems? Oh, it's just that. So commit and push. Push. Let's see if this is going to pick up. Messed this up now. On pull request. Dang it. What did I have? Shoot. Shoot, shoot, shoot. Now it's just not running. Just revert that. I'll fix it later. Push. Okay. Unless GitHub just hates me now and is not going to run any of my things. Because that seems to be the case as well right now. Shoot. I don't know what I did to make it hate me, but it's not running on GitHub anymore. I wonder if maybe I just have too many matrices options, and that's why. Let's just try cutting these out. It's gonna get mad. Oh. Because honestly, it doesn't matter if it's. I'm just gonna do. We'll drop 7.1 and see if that does it. And 7.2 will just test 8.9. There's no reason to test 8.8. Actually, yeah, okay, we'll try that. We'll see if that helps get this to run, because maybe it's just too much. Reduce matrix size to get actions to run again. I really hope this triggers it. And it's not. Let's see. Actions, allow actions. There are no self-hosted runners. GitHub actions no longer running. Commit. Trigger. Push. Let's see. Let's just copy theirs. What did I do? Let's just copy. Like, I wonder if like I just ended up spamming it too hard, and that's why. Adjust trigger events. And if this doesn't do it, I'll probably just have to pause for now to try and figure out what's happening here and take some time to think about how to get the test to work right. Yeah. This just doesn't want to kick over. We had this happen on the web form Civi CRM actually, where it stopped running workflows, and I don't know if it's just create status page. Like if they have like a quota, which I mean I don't blame them if they have a quota. It's just I don't know. I wish it would be like, hey, sorry, you gotta wait a little bit before we'll run anything. Yeah. So that way I could just know to pause and chill it out, or pay. Like I wouldn't mind paying to get this to run, but I just want to know why it's not. All right, well that's not running, but at least it's started to. Where was the last build for all this? So this is the last one that ran. What did I do? Actually, we'll do it in so that's it. As I move push is down there, but we know that's not it. I removed 7.1 and 7.2 from PHP version. Made just 7.2 and 8.9 a special include. And that's it. I don't. You know what? I wonder if I can replicate anything locally. Let me do a pull. this because I have no idea. There we go. Maybe that's why it's crashing. Because I did this once before a while ago. Man. Okay, so that's downloading. If I can maybe get it to replicate locally and run, I'll be happy with that. To just get to the next level instead of waiting for GitHub to run. And then try to figure out why actions weren't running. I'm guessing I probably hit like a quota, like in an hour. So again, that's totally cool and fine. I understand that. It's just I wish it would say if that was why. Or if there was a way to like automatically rerun it after that quota expired. But we'll see. Alright, so this is all running. Let's see where it fails. Okay, it's got to set up PHP. Running, I'm going to just see if I can read their docs and see if it says anything. Quick start, environment workflows, learn, introduction, the components. To next steps, contacting support, GitHub community. Let's see, category. If you have any feedback, contact. No. Secure, sharing workflows, managing complex workflows. I'm just curious on that. Storing secrets, preparing them. Nah. Using labels to route. No. Essential features. Strips will say quota. Using quotations. Start this. This searches all of it, not just this section. Reference. No. Hosting your own runners. So this is one thing that's cool. It's like GitHub. You can GitLab. You can run. You can host your own runners as well. So just their infrastructure. Failure to install dependencies. What does this say? Whoa. Oh. Dang it. I don't think. Wait. What's not compatible with? Drupal 8.8 is not compatible with Composer 2. You are killing me here. Alright, I'm just going to drop 8.8. I don't think there's any problem with that. It is way too much grief to support it. And it makes the build matrix even smaller. So, otherwise then I would have to add another matrix variable that changes the Composer version to v1 for just 8.8, and it's not worth it. The main reason we're supporting 8.8 still is to verify that it finds deprecations in Drupal 9. For Drupal 9 code, because there are still some modules out there that need porting and have this run, or sites that still need to get upgraded to Drupal 9. So I feel like 8.9 still needs to be supported. While I'm wondering that, let's actually just Drupal release cycle. I don't even know when 8.9 is no longer in security release. I feel like it's got to be in the next 6 months or so. Key dates. End of life. Oh, that's right. 8.9 is end of life until next November. So yeah, I need to have it be supported until then. Failure to install. Why? Problem one, Drupal core recommends Drupal core. Alright, let's see. I don't even know what this means. Oh, extension GD is missing from your system. Wow, that's PHP extension support. So again, I had to have done this for web form. Let's close some of these tabs. I thought how did, oh, did not do that here. All right, so I'm going to copy this and add the extensions. So we're just going to make sure the whole kitchen sink is there, and rerun this. That's going, I'm going to read some more of the docs for ACT to see if there's a way I can just run one specific matrix. Command, so yeah, that list, which we did, runs all of it. Specific job. I really don't think there's a way to just say a specific matrix job, because that job string would just be test, which builds out the entire matrix. So we'll just see what happens here. One thing that is cool about the ACT runner is if your team's not able to run tests locally due to whatever reason, or with DDev, any other setup, like you could have this GitHub workflow file and have them run it locally and see, do test results that way. So that is one benefit. All right. Now, see if this installs the dependencies finally. All right, good. Come on. So it's running downgrade PHP unit, which seems to have finally worked because I added with all dependencies. Awesome. Great. So let's see if this passes locally. Failure PHP unit. Oh no. Oh, not this bug. So this is the bug that we were working on last week, and it's supposed to have a fix that prevents it from installing a version of PHPStan that conflicts with it. That's the whole reason this conflict is here, because of let's see. Now I gotta, what runner was that on 7.3? So green output. I'm gonna do some backscroll to find the green output real quick. So the only thing I can think of is that the PHP parser is bundled in PHPStan, and that's why this failed. But I wonder if somehow one got downloaded into the repo, and that's why. So we're looking for yep, that's why. 4.10 does not work, so we need to add another conflict into PHPStan Drupal to conflict against 4.10. Yeah, 4.10 added the PHP 8 support, and that's when things kind of went bad for PHPStan Drupal. So now we need to also add it here. So we need to block it on anything that's 4.10.0. And let's give all right, let's give this another run. And hopefully that gives us a passing build. Now that we've marked this as a conflict as well, so I'm guessing it ran the test, and it was able to get this. So this is required by, I think, Drush. So composer show, or rather composer y PHP parser. So yep, and composer y, because Drush requires this shell, which requires PHP parser, which got our tests to include the broken air quotes broken version of PHP parser. It's not broken, it's just Drupal core has this weird trait that breaks its PHP attribute parsing, and I can't figure out a fix for. So we're in this weird dependency conflict situation. All right, so we're gonna run this. Hopefully this gets us in the clear. And once this is running, if I can get this to be a pass, I'm gonna call it for a day, because that's a pretty good win. This basically deprecates and removes the Travis CI jobs. And then at a later date, I'm going to try to move over some of the more complex Circle CI jobs, which looks like it's actually not doing that much different, except for trying to run against upgrade status and against the legacy non-composer build, which I am fine not supporting. You know, I can only test so many things at once. So, and I think we're past some of those bugs. All right, so installed. How many workflows are we down to now? So I want to go back up. So it looks like we've got about 4 different matrices. All right, let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so there's 6 jobs that get built. Let's just check here too to see if anything ran. No. Let's see if cloud logs UI. CI not starting. Let's see about this. Nah, that's it. All right. That'll have to be for another time. Okay. so it's downgrading. Okay, this is what failed before, is PHP unit. Oh, you gotta be kidding me. I wonder if it's mounting it. Let's do composer update. So I don't know if it's recloning it or pulling it in locally. Because I did have the conflicting version locally. And we'll try running the tests. Oh, Jesus. I wish there was some way to just avoid this trait completely. And not have to deal with it. Alright, let's try running this now. That's stupid. It runs composer install anyway, so this was not the problem. I don't know why it's failing. And since it's doing it, it's hard to view the logs from individual jobs. I can't tell the difference. What we're going to do is just push. If it doesn't run, I'm going to call the stream and just pick it up another day, because it just does not want to cooperate. So flip on there. Let's do sure PHP extensions drop 8.8 commit and push. Nothing. Nothing at all. Watch this at least like this. Alright, I don't know why it's not running. We'll see what happens on this next run flow. And hopefully this gets somewhere. And then I'm going to read up on how people have their Macbook set up to not create a hissing noise in your microphone. Thought I had this all figured out, but apparently I need to rearrange my desk a little bit, and I think my monitors need to get flushed around too, so my neck's feeling weird. Alright. Okay, come on. Come on, come on, come on, come on. Well, I'm curious why this is failing. Oh, yeah. the same reason. This PHP unit. Okay, come on. So this did not go quite as I had planned. I was hoping this would be a little bit smoother, but so is the way things go. Especially this last run is taking forever. I mean, granted, it is running like 5 different workflows at once. Oh, geez. And apparently it does not clean up after itself because... What? Okay, well, that's good to know. Apparently it doesn't really clean up after itself because it's still got a whole bunch of things running. And maybe that's one reason my computer is struggling a bit. Right. Well, at least this is now installing. Well, I won't. It kills document. Oh. Yes, it is. Great. Let's see, let's kill that. Okay, this is all installing still. Alright, come on, come on. And even with the hiccups and some of the difficulties, I hope this was interesting for a few folks on that either don't have CI set up or were wondering about GitHub Actions versus Travis CI or Circle CI. I hope this provided some insight and useful knowledge. Okay. Yep. Green. Failed again. It keeps failing at 7.3 and 8.9.1, which I'm going to just quick and see the composer output again. So downgraded PHP unit. It's purple, blue, green. We got 4.9.1. And it's still erroring. Maybe that's not even the... Somewhere I have the commit mentioned. So let's look at releases. What am I blocked on? 12.43. So if we look at this release, if we compare it to 4.2, files changed, that's composer.json, yeah, so 4.9.1, that should be it, but it is, wait, hold on, it's installing Drupal 9.1, even though it's supposed to be what I think maybe I have something stupid happening. So might have been shooting myself in the foot this entire time. What are we trying to download? We're trying to get Drupal recommended project. Search for that. Oh, and we want 8.9. Well, that's interesting that it pulls in, it says that's, oh no, maybe it was just a highlight error. Why would it pull in 9.0? Let's see, let's find the green again. Code sniffer, PHP unit, Drupal core 9.1, downloading, locking, something's weird, and no output. Darn. For some reason, it's downloading Drupal 9 when it's supposed to be what if I comment that out? So we got 7.4 D9, 7.3 D9, 7.4 8.9. So much for calling it, because I want to figure out why this is being silly. Composer update, yep, so if that, we downgrade PHP unit for PHPStan Composer create project, Drupal recommended project, the version constraint, Drupal core dev pinned, version constraint, and we require I'm going to see if we can track down the error that's happening or why it's grabbing Drupal 9.1 when it says it should be 8.9. And technically, even this should only get 9.0 and not 9.1. Should have probably taken out something here so that way it ran a little bit faster. Install dependencies is the PHPStan dependencies. And wait for setup Drupal. Let's see why. This isn't working. Alright, so that's still there. Oh, I'm stupid. It's because I have it in here. Oh my goodness. Alright. So that, oh jeez. So you need to also add a so supporting Drupal 8 in these test runs and Drupal 9 is just going to be a headache, I think. which I already knew, but I didn't think it'd be this annoying between Drupal and PHP unit. Let me change this back. So I don't need that exact. That's one reason that this broke. We don't have 8.8 support. We're just going to check Drupal 8.9 because that's the last version that's going to be supported till end of life of Drupal 8. If we're testing Drupal 8, make sure that we downgrade Drupal core, which this doesn't need to be 2 steps. I can put that in here. So we'll downgrade the dependencies. So if Drupal 8, we're going to make sure that we downgrade PHP unit and Drupal's dependencies for 8.9. So that way we can start focusing on Drupal 9 testing as the main priority. Let's run this, I'm going to cancel that and just comment out. I just want 2 jobs to run. It's already in use. I'm going to restart Docker because I can't get, I tried running Docker kill in another tab and I couldn't get these to disappear. So we're going to just restart Docker to force kill those. And then I'm going to run it with just 7.3 for 8.9 and 9.0. Hopefully get this figured out. And then I can triage some issues where folks try to add Drupal 8 or PHP 8 support in test runs, which, while that's restarting, I can actually do one of those right now. Test Drupal 8. Apologies. It's also due to the fact Travis CI killed open source build minutes, which this was updating. Never like having to close somebody else's work, but before I was willing for them to work on it because it was updating Travis CI, but Travis CI killed build minutes, so okay. So no more things running. Two jobs make this run a lot faster. And just to double check some of my logic. So yeah, if it's 8.9, which we have here, I'm going to remove the minor version constraint here because that would break our conditional. And you know, I don't think we need half of these extensions. I just copied them in from a Docker image I had. So composer. We'll keep it. We don't need that though. We don't need. Oh, we don't need some. We'll keep those. Okay, so we go. It's locking, downloading. This must be just for PHPStan to run its own test, or PHPStan Drupal to run its own tests. Come on. So this should pass. No. I'm just going to run it locally at this point. So is it, why? I'm going to also add debug. So we'll do locally debug stop failure, because I want to know what test is failing, why. But also 7.3, 9.0. So maybe is Drupal 9 not compatible with? Core dev pin. Nope. Core recommended. Core dev. Let's just look at core dev. Okay, so yeah, that failed because, okay, so some of these failures are due to the fact that it's now Drupal 9 and the test can't run in Drupal 9, but core dev pin. A 9.x.0 PHP unit 8.5.5, and that's running on 8. Why is this throwing an error? Real? Drupal 9. So, like, how come I'm hitting this but no one else is if this is happening? Composer.json, but then we're also going to go to tests. So is it test Drupal tests? Drupal tests. Unit test case. 7 months ago. Why? So unless it's just not, that's actually not what's causing the failure, but it's just throwing a warning, PHP fatal error. It's like, why is it a fatal error on my end, but it's not happening elsewhere? I don't know. But we're going to, alright, what? Deprecation rules test. So we'll try this. If I don't know. Let's find usages of it. No. So if version compare I can't remember the playground thing for this, but PHP version compare. Let's look at this. I'm going to try to get this test to pass at least. So if PHP version, what is that playground, that PHP online 3v4? I can't remember what it's called. There we go. Thank goodness. So print version compare. We got, so this is left, right is, we want to test 9.0, we'll test 8.0.0. There's 1, which return values returns -1 if the first version is lower than the second, and 0 if they are equal. So we want to, by default, test 8.9.999. I guess no, we'll just always test, in this it should always test if that, so what happens here, 0, -1, but if we've got, okay, so we'll check this against 8.0.0. So it said 1 is 1 if the second is lower. So if this is equal to -1, this mark skipped, only tested on Drupal 8. Alright, so if I run this again, or if we click run, the entire test should be skipped because it only runs on 8.8.8. Correct. Yeah. Okay. That's not what I wanted. We're going to debug this quick. Run debug, because this should be simple, but apparently it's not. Okay. Test 1 is 1, which, right, and 1 if the second is lower. So, yeah, maybe if I want to flip these. This kind of stuff like confuses me a lot, especially when it's like, oh, it returns 1, -1, or 0, and it's like the left and right. It is beyond confusing to me. So, okay. So that skipped it because the version is higher. Now I'm going to just quick manipulate this. This still isn't right. Because that's going to be -1. So I need to check if this is version 9 or higher. That's it. Okay. Now I got it. So the baseline is if it's 9 or higher, skip. If it's lower, continue on. So 1 is, what does 1 mean? 1 if the second is lower. So if it's not equal to 1, we want to skip. Right, because 8.9 is 1. Now if we go back and undo my change and run the debugger, it is -1. Okay. So turn off the debugger and run it. Because this just tests all the deprecations that are in Drupal 8 for Drupal 9. Looks like it's going okay. I just don't get why this is failing remotely but not locally. If this passes, push it up and we'll see what happens from there. I really wish I could figure out why my actions aren't running anymore. Super confusing. Oh, I know one thing I want to add to it though is you can add a cron, and I have it running in my City CRM project. So let's that. I'm just going to copy this entirely. One thing I could do too with GitHub Actions is I could spin out all of this, everything down here into its own workflow. Actually, everything here into its own workflow. So that way there's just the PHP unit test workflow, and then there's like an integration workflow. What file broke here? Drupal integration test. For expected match site 3, line 43. Let's see, I'm curious. So we ran the debug there. Copy that in. There isn't a main branch on this yet. I didn't rename it. So this will add a cron so that way every night it runs. That way I can catch any failures that might come around as Drupal core gets minor releases and I don't push commits. Or once we can use PHPStan's latest release, it will let me test against those as well. Alright, so this error before. Let's see what the let's see what it is. If condition is always false, that's it. Function PHPStan should return, oh, missing return row should return string. Yep, that's expected. Binary operation, oh, that's a new one. Between SPL string and core results in an error. So that's why there's a new one. Actually, that's great. That's actually a really cool improvement because, oh, sweet. So the container, actually in the service container definition, technically app.root is an SPL string. Is defined, but it really is a string, and this is now actually catching that as an error. So PHPStan found, or something that has a better fix now. Array shift error is this cert equals error get message. I'll rerun that. And then I'll push, and I'm going to sign off and get some lunch and spend the day with the family. So thanks for tuning in and watching as I went through trying to get GitHub Actions up and running so I can test PHPStan Drupal against Drupal 8, Drupal 9, and various PHP versions. Okay, that passed. I'm going to do several commits for myself. So this only run deprecation rules test on 8.8. Assert error on SPL string. You know what though? I bet this will fail on Drupal 8. So I'm not going to commit that quite yet. To do this only broke on D9. So what I'll do is D8 or is D9 is D9 is that 3 and if is D9 just going to rerun that real quick. Make sure. Add cron, ensure to downgrade Drupal along with PHP unit. Okay. Catch error on SPL string cat. Call it that. Commit. Commit. And I'm on push. And let's see if actions decide to run. There we go. Okay, maybe I fixed it. I don't know. What? If that... Son of a... What did I break? Continue on error, experimental. Forgot to copy this over, so it's false. This is not experimental. Missing experimental flag. Commit and push. Push it up. Cool. At least I got the actions running again. I am happy about that. I don't know what I did. That was stupid, but I did something stupid. So yeah, so we got 7.2 and 8.9, 7.3 and 8.9 and 9.0, 7.4, and PHP 8 and Drupal 9. Once this is passing, I'll add it for 9.1 as well. But based on just some of the tests, there's a battle ahead to get that passing. I just want to see if I can get this fixed. So I'm going to make a note. Spin out into two workflows. There should be one workflow for PHPCS, PHPStan, PHPUnit. One workflow for the Drupal integrations. Which, for example, first workflow, second workflow. I think this would make it a lot easier to maintain and kind of test these integrations along the way. So I'll comment that. This failed. Oh geez. Downgrading the dev dependencies. Composer installer requires 1.6 and is not with all dependencies. All right. Well, I'm gonna call it and get back to this, where I'm gonna make a note for myself. Last failure seems to be downgrade. I'm downgrading Drupal core and Composer installers breaking with Composer v2. All right. So I'll come back and I'll tackle this. Thanks for tuning in and watching along the way. Hopefully you learned something cool and got to see how GitHub Actions work. And that there's still progress being made to PHPStan Drupal. Yeah, so thanks.